Everybody, we got a special guest this morning. He is the mayor of almighty Chicago, Illinois, Mr. Rahm Emanuel. And I'm pleased to have the mayor on the show today to address the issues that are plaguing the city and to tell us about the recent increase in funding for mentoring and enrichment programs for the city's youth. Let's find out more. Please welcome to the show, Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Good morning.
Mr. Mayor, how you doing today, sir?
Good.
Yeah. Well, you gotta look. There's a lot going on in the city of Chicago, like other major cities.
Sure.
It's no different than any place else. We have a huge problem with gangs and gun violence. But you've invested in the future of Chicago's youth in a major way. Tell us what you're doing to help.
Well, the two things. Let me say this. Yes, there are challenges, but there are great opportunities. And the way I always look at it, we're going to be at a school today with the president. You're going to be able from Hyde Park near the University of Chicago, great learning institution, but to see downtown Chicago. Now, we're turning that school into an international baccalaureate school, one of the best in the country, study from USC. But when those kids walk out that front door and they see downtown, I got to be in all the promise and all the energy and all the excitement and all the dynamism that comes with a great city like Chicago. Mm-hmm. Unless those kids walking out the door can see their future in that future, then if they do see that, we've succeeded. If they don't, we have failed. And the only place there's only two places you can bridge that difference, or three, in my view: the classrooms, the home, and the church, or places of worship, rather.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And to solve this problem, our schools got to be strong, which is why we got to have a full school day, not the shortest one in America. We got to have really dynamic educational programs like the IB, the STEM education. I am big into mentoring because for too long we have had a taboo subject. We can't talk about it. It's got to be over here. Don't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
When we have too often the dominant, both the perpetrator and the victim of homicides are mirror images of each other. Minority men, 16 to 25, who never have had any affirmative male role model in their lives. Now, my view is we got to have fathers. Fathers got to take responsibility. Mm-hmm. But if they don't, we got a second backup, not as good as a father, not as good as a grandfather or an uncle, a family relative, but we got to have the Becoming a Man program, other things. We're sponsoring that. We're going to be doing more with that program. The president's going to see it today, helping these young men understand they are of self-worth. They have something to offer, something to give, and something to aspire to. And if we do that, we're on track.
Right.
So the school's got to be strong. We got to have affirmative male role models for these young men. And then most importantly, I know there's been a long debate about the separation of church and state, and I'm big into respecting it. But we got to get our places of worship outside the doors and get their message that is inside the doors on Sundays, outside on the street on a regular basis, because we need to bring back a sense of moral centering to our young men and women. Mm-hmm. They're too unanchored from a kind of moral construct of grounding that's essential for them. Now, if we do all that and invest in all the things, we will give these kids, when they're both in the classroom and walk out, a chance to see this great city. And it is on the move, and they'll be able to say, hey, I can be part of that rather than what's happening right on their streets right now.
Mm-hmm. Good. I like that. Now, let me ask you something about these two programs that you have out. You've got the Green Corps Chicago and the BAM program, which you just mentioned, Becoming a Man. You're hoping to reach 5,000 at-risk youth. But what kinds of initiatives do these programs offer?
Well, we are going to not trying to. I'm going to do it. Okay. The one thing now. Yeah, I'll give you a funny. It's not funny. It kind of brings tears to your eyes. Okay. I'm going to tell you this thing. We doubled in my budget the summer jobs program. I was really proud of myself. Doubling. Now, as you know, the summer jobs program used to be it was basically a federal government responsibility. I took it up to 1,500 kids. Now, if I'm doubling it, it means what used to be thousands of kids in the summer. We were at 750, but less than 1,000 kids. That's how bad the federal government had gotten and the state government in cutting back on investing in children. So on my own, I put money in. We doubled it. We're going to do even more with these green jobs and alternatives, urban farming, just getting kids in jobs, in a structured environment, earning a wage, learning a skill.
Yeah.
The Becoming a Man program is we're going to take it from 17 high schools to 40 high schools up to 2,000 kids, and that's just the beginning. I'm going to do more because I have sat through it myself. I've seen these kids talk. I've seen the kind of the counselor / the organizer help kids. They got a program where you kind of go pies, which is you're all in, which is your physical, how you feeling, intellectual, how you feeling, emotional, how you feeling, and spiritually, how you feeling. And you have to attest to your colleagues, and then you're all in, and you have to be honest. And it helps these young men ground themselves, get centered about who they are and what they can offer, and in an affirmative way with a caring adult male who can also tell them, while you can have challenges, they all don't result in resolving it with a gun.
Right.
Yeah. And I heard this one young man talk about being a victim of gun, and he's now doing really well talking about college. And I said, the reason I admire you is because the greatest way to build character isn't how you handle a big milestone of victory. It's how you handle when you're down in the valley, picking yourself up and finding a way not only to learn but to make something of yourself. And it's through that struggle from the low points that you learn who you are and what you can be. And he is now, having been a shot, he's talking to college. And that, to me, what he learned in that program about how to look at himself and what he could do, that's what that program can offer, and that's why we're going to invest in it, because we got to give these young men and these adolescents something to aspire to.
Right. Now, Mayor, let me ask you a question. You may not have the exact answer to this, but in this job program,
I can fake it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, cool. I accept that.
Steve, hey, this is live, man.
Yeah.
Don't put it on me. Yeah, I'll fake it if I have to.
Please don't.
Go ahead.
Hey, man, to double these jobs in this city, how much? What's a roundabout figure to think that costs the city to double these jobs? If we provided 1,500 more jobs for kids, how much would it take us to have to come up with?
I'm doing this. I'm embarrassed, man. I think to go from, like you're saying, from 1,500 to 3,000. I think I'm guessing it's like another either 1.5 to 2 million. But I think I'm doing it. That would be a guess and a rough one at that. Okay.
Okay. Well,
but I mean, I'll give you. But like.
Hey, Mayor.
You got to cut off.
That's
the
man.
Music.
Yeah. Hey. Can you hang on? I'd like to finish this conversation.
You're kind of like my kid. Talk to the hand. I got it.
Okay.
The music's on.
All right, good. Well, we'll be back in just a minute.
You're listening to the Steve Harvey Morning Show.
We're back with Mayor Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago. And I want to say this because I know when people listen to the radio that, you're looking to hear one thing in particular, and then if you don't hear it, now you own one. So now let me just straighten it out. The mayor of Chicago has a program that's putting in place. There's a saying that my mother, you've all heard this a million times, idle mind is the devil's playground. One of the things to help with the gun violence in the city is opportunity. What forces a lot of young men into gangs is the lack of opportunity. There are no jobs. So if you can't get a job, what's the thing to do? Sell a drug. Well, now to participate in a drug selling game, a lot of them got to get in gangs. And now you have the snowball effect. So jobs are very much a step in the right direction. What they gonna do about this violence out here? Having opportunities for young people is a step in the right direction. There is no one fix-all for this situation, folks, unless we get a huge number of African-American men to step up and say, hey, man, we're going to go on and, start slowing this down a little bit in our communities and pull these young cats to the table. It's the only way. Now, that's the way you fix it. Yes, sir.
You know what I loved about what you just said is rather than 2 points. One, I've made a 30% increase in after-school program, which I'm a big supporter of. And we were doing the summer jobs, we're doing BAM. But also, rather than looking at who else's fault or blaming somebody else, I met with 3 young women from Lindblom High School. And they said, we have to take responsibility for what's happening in our community. And what I think we're at an inflection point as a city is, Steve. I have had people on, we have half the city never saw a homicide last year, basically, nearly half. And rather than say, hey, it's not my neighborhood, it's not my community, they have said, what do I got to do to help? And the other part of the city has said, you know what, we got to stop looking around and pointing fingers and start saying, okay, what do we got to do? What do we got to do to be responsible and accountable? And what I want to make sure has happened, now that we have found who did the shooting of Haida, and now that we have had the ceremony for her, which are usually moments of closure, we don't recede back to bad behavior, bad patterns, but use this moment to galvanize and bring the city together where another part of the city can offer help, assistance, and be involved. Another part of the city says, okay, we have some hard questions to ask, and what do we got to do to be accountable? And that is, and the good news is I have seen a lot of people ready to step up and help get these young men on a course. We're going to increase, which we have, after-school programs by 30%, largest increase ever. I'm putting 5,000 kids into full-day pre-K, so I'm giving their mothers a lot of help in how to being a good parent. We're doubling the summer jobs, not only during the summer, but year-round. We're investing in Become a Man, really expanding it, and I'm going to do even more in the coming days. And we're going to start a new program with midnight basketball, giving kids an alternative.
Mayor, let me ask you a question.
What's wrong?
I have a very successful mentoring program that I've been doing around the country for years.
Yeah.
I would like to
offer
our agenda to BAM and possibly get together and work with BAM and show the methods that we've used for years in Dallas, in New York, in New Orleans, in Atlanta, and show the things that we've done. We did one here at Chicago State University, which was a huge success. I ended up having those boys back on my show. But if you could put someone in touch from BAM with us, and maybe we could, collaborate a little bit. But I would really like to share our program with BAM because we have a very successful program.
I'll take care of it. I will do anything. Look, we're going to do the right, and I try to always remind people. People go, oh, it's got to be about this. Look, we got to have the police doing the right strategy. We got to have the right deterrence and prosecution when gun crimes are committed. We have to have tougher gun laws to make sure criminals in the first place never get their hands on the guns. We got to have good after-school program. We got to have the right investment in summer jobs. The truth is, and I'm going to say this, we got to have a full school day. We shouldn't have the shortest school day, and we no longer will.
Right.
We're going to have all that, and then the other thing is we got to be able to talk about a tough subject. It is too hard for single mothers and single grandmothers to raise these kids alone.
Well,
now, I'm going to look, the fact is we're not going to solve the family structure issue. I'm going to acknowledge the government is a second-place alternative. Your mentoring program, let's be honest, like BAM, is second. But given there's nothing else, it's exactly the right thing to do, and it has proven successful. So we're going to invest in that. But everything from policing all the way down to mentoring and everything between it, we have to do, because if we do them all, we will begin to take the air out and literally suck the oxygen out of this crime problem.
Exactly. You have a tough job, sir, because you've got to cover.
Job. I have a great job because I have a great city with great people. I love this job.
Okay, I'll let you have that.
All right.
I'm trying to get you. But, sir, I really appreciate your phone call. Please, let's touch base about BAM and see if we can't really get involved here. And,
I already wrote it down. It will be followed up today.
Good. All right, thank you for joining us, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
We'll be back. You're listening to the Steve Harvey Morning Show.